Good morning.
Hey, good morning, Mike. How are you?
Well, and yourself?
Doing good. Doing good. Thanks
Good.
for thanks for asking.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Where are you located at?
Cumming, Georgia.
Okay, awesome. How far away is that from Atlanta or from the coast?
From Atlanta, it's 25 miles from the coast. Which coast? I mean, if you
Oh,
go straight out Savannah,
that's
it's
true. Yeah.
probably 4 or 5 hours, and I guess down through Florida or Alabama, depending upon where you go, if you hit the Gulf Coast, it's about 7 hours.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we took a family trip down to St. Simon's Island back in June, and so we went through.
How?
Yeah,
I don't know that I've been there. How was that?
it was a nice area. It was great place for the family. It wasn't overly commercialized as far as as far as when it comes to touristy. So it was a
Yes.
really nice island, a lot of different things to do other than just go to the beach. And so we took the kids out for a fishing excursion one day and let
Oh,
them have a
nice.
lot of fun. They got, Jekyll Island that's close by there with a lot of neat things to see and do. So it was a good time. It was a good trip. So
We used to go to the Gulf Coast, and it got too commercialized. My kids are now college age, so it's not the same as it was when they were 2 or 3. But Florida and Alabama are growing so quickly that
yeah,
it's not that rural. I don't know, just open feeling anymore. It's so crowded and it's just
yeah,
not as much fun.
yeah, no, yeah, I get that. No, well, just to get started off, generally I just share a little bit about Banyan, a little bit about a company, and a little bit about the position, and then um, ask a couple of questions for you, and let you share about yourself
Sure.
and share about your experience and what you're doing now and what you're kind of looking for here in the future.
Okay.
So, Banyan, we're a small to mid-sized commercial construction company, um, kind of a GC general contractor. Um, we've been building high-end salons throughout the U.S. Um, we've been doing that exclusively the past several years, um, called Sola Salons, 27 states. Um, we've worked with the franchisees, helping them find sites,
Okay.
doing site surveys, everything to give them, costs so they can help get lease agreements and um, all the pre-construction, the plan design, permitting, all of the stuff, for the pre-construction, getting bids and creating scopes and, helping get subcontractors lined out and getting everything ready for site mobilization, to kind of hand off to our site superintendents. And so we've been working with Sola, become the preferred builder for them. And right now they're probably 98% of what we've been doing. This year we're starting a construction management division where we've got another franchise that we're overseeing the construction of their builds, what they're doing, and then also kind of expanding into some miscellaneous project management positions or projects, jobs, non-Sola, kind of starting to diversify a little bit. And so we've got a team here in our office outside of Indianapolis, Indiana, that does all that pre-construction aspect and helps, support the field. And I think there's a good collaboration we have going between the office and the field. There's no competition or a lot of friction, but working together. Um, and so that's I guess in a nutshell what we're doing. This superintendent position is kind of a hybrid between superintendent and project manager in the aspects of, we get a lot of the major subs lined out. A lot of things started here during the pre-construction process to help pass that on to get, for the superintendents to get going. But then the superintendents will also do some of that, finding subcontractors for later on in the project along the way. We've got a group of subcontractors and vendors that we've worked with on many projects and have built some good relationships with. Some will travel to different locations. others will find, within that region or within that area. And so um, our right now the solas are, the goal is a 90-day build for the solas, and there are tenant build outs. And yeah, we do like basically just the goal is to be that easy button site survey to certificate of occupancy, to turnkey for the franchisees. And so yeah, that's a little bit about who we are in the position. And so I'm curious to learn about you. I mean, I usually like to start off with like, hey, this is a traveling position, 100, 95% of the time on the road, being away for weeks at a time. If you're within close range, being able to get back home, but it's kind of one of those deals where I don't want to sugarcoat it or make it sound all rosy whenever there's that element to the job. And so I always like to, try to let people know, candidates know that, hey, this is kind of where it's at, just to see kind of what their experience is with travel. So I'm just curious, is your experience, what you've been doing? It looks like you're an owner, a GC yourself, and have been doing a lot of those residential, commercial tenant build outs, different, kind of various aspects of construction. So just feel free to share about yourself, Mike.
Yeah, I'm happy to share anything. Are you familiar with Planet Blue?
I don't think so.
Planet Blue is a high-end women's boutique clothing line.
Yeah.
Their design, they're really out of California. Their design concepts are very, very, very extravagant. So I have done those for them here in Atlanta, in the high-end districts. I guess part of what I'll kind of go to the beginning and or the end and go backwards with it. The items that you had just described are, in essence, all of the hats that I've been wearing. So I have designed the buildings, I have scoped the buildings, I have worked with the property companies, even if they're opening, or the property management contractor companies, the lease provisions, tenant improvement, the monies that they're giving for opening, the dates, building lines. I have worked through and with each one of those. And I think inside of that, my children are now, like I said, at college age. So the travel is not, doesn't bother me. I've certainly read in the scope, and I think that that's part of what I have run into, and probably what you all run into as well. I read the job description that's listed in there, and I take it at face value. If that's what you say, then that's what I've read, and I accept that. That's why I've even applied to it. So I run into that so frequent, which really, if you get into the specifics or the specifications, if people would read it, you wouldn't have all these issues with it. It says something for a reason. That's why it's stated in there. But as I've gotten to my age, I'm 58. I'm not going to hide anything for anyone. And wearing all of those hats all of the time it is just, it's gotten ornery. And not that I can't, I am really good at production. I'm an operations person at heart. That's where I am. That's where I've performed most of my life and had the most success in my life, is in operations with it. So within this company, which I've operated for 22 years, yes, I hold a state license, commercial and residential. I've done small projects, I've done multi-million-dollar projects, and anything in between there, from the design, permitting aspects of it, through completion and serving as the estimator, as the budgeter, and set the Gantt chart, or the schedule that was necessary to make sure that happened. Anticipate failures that are likely to happen, which subs are likely not going to perform to the standards that they're supposed to, and where they have to be pushed. But in so doing, that still pulls you away from some of the administrative functions. And I think where you all have a team, that's more where I'm looking to be, with a group of peer professionals who handle their responsibilities that allow other people to handle your responsibilities and obligations without conflict. No competition. I'm not looking for that.
Yeah.
I figure I have 10 to 15 years left on my work life.
Mhm.
So I'm not looking for 2 weeks. I'm not a job jumper. Prior to starting this company, I worked for Home Depot briefly, a few years that is, as a divisional manager for installed sales.
Mhm.
And prior to that with ServPro, which is fire and water restoration.
Yeah.
The only break I've had in being on call the last 35 years, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week with payroll employees and every other issue on earth. There's just a lot of hats to wear for 30, 35 years. Now I understand project management or superintendency has some of those components, but it doesn't have all of those components. And
Yeah.
it's in that's those componencies are what I'm looking to rest and set aside some so
Yeah.
that I can focus on, I guess, a more linear path. Now, I think inside of that, then my experience from civil work, buildings, building design, HVAC design, plumbing design, there may be other areas as you grow in project management or you look to grow inside of that my expertise may be helpful to some of the team members and
Yeah.
say, well, what was your experience in having dealt with this before? How did you do it? What professionals did you call on? If they're stepping into an area that they may not have stepped into before.
Yeah.
So, and I am kind of that individual that has put all of those things into one basket, and I've enjoyed it. I have learned a tremendous amount. I have lead certifications. I have Blue Card, which is soil excavation certifications. There's many others, but it's more on a residential end for installation standards on it. So I'm very well rounded in all the aspects, whether it is fine finishes, faux finishes, metalworks, storefronts, sign permits, what can and can't be done, who's obligated, who's responsible. I've worked through each one of those items myself through the design portion, and I'm very comfortable and confident in handling any one of those areas of responsibility or obligation.
Yeah.
So that 22 years, 23 years has been great. It's raised my family. I'm happy. That's what was necessary. But I need to, when I say slow down, I don't want that taken the wrong way. It's not the mind and it's not the body. I need to slow the RPMs in my brain down from 1200 to 400 of normal operating speed instead of having to work 300 times faster just to keep up with all of those components. I didn't fail. It was just, it was time for me. It's where I felt that break was needed. It's not something I didn't anticipate for years going in and taking a look at it. And it was a decision that was made with all those components collectively. And what would make me happy, moreover than just money or just, I like seeing something started. I like seeing it completed. I'm very meticulous. I'm very particular. I watched all the things, and maybe to a fault, if you ask, I watched it too much, where I should have maybe stepped back and handled more of the administrative side, but not being able to let go of what we were doing, how we were doing it.
Yeah.
Is it correct? Are all the pieces there that I want? Still matters to me what's behind a wall just as much as what you see on the wall. Is it going to last, or are we just putting it together? And that is where that's where my true passion is, in knowing those particular pieces of it.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that gives you a broader scope of what I have done or what you're looking or seeking in information from me. If not, I'll extrapolate more and explain more to you, but I was just trying to give you a broad overview of my background and where I am and where I'm hoping to go.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you for sharing that. I think definitely it's very helpful, insightful to know, where you've been, your experience. It sounds like you're at a season of life to where all of those hats and all of those responsibilities, um, you're like, okay, it's time to slow things down a little bit in a level to where it's more manageable, and you could focus on one thing and do it really well, and have that, a different pace of
Yeah.
life for yourself. So um, sounds like you have a lot of experience, a lot of good skills, skill sets, and that would be valuable to any organization. So it's definitely helpful and insightful for those things. You just a couple of questions.
Sure.
Just a thought in being in that role, the GC, the owner, operating in all those hats. I'm assuming you said employees. You have had employees um, that have worked under you. Have you had like site superintendents or project managers? What does that look like, and how have you done the on the ground site superintendent stuff, the coordination of I'm just curious as to what that might look like, or how you envision that moving forward, from being in the role that you've done in that capacity to what it would look like going forward.
I've
Or have you done that in the past, and what did it look like?
Yes. Well, when I started this company, it was me and one other person. So
Right.
we did everything. I mean, there
Yeah.
wasn't an office team. It was Billy and myself. And
Yeah.
so my hands have pretty much done anything that you're going to run across there. As I grew my company and state park projects or what have you, where that was partnered with other GCs or other, and I shouldn't say that, civil companies that were just doing the excavation, but they had project managers or site superintendents. And then the site superintendents and or project managers I've had, I think the insight is I have studied the failures of each, failure is not a right word, studied the areas that were lacking or could have improved or made each and every project better.
Mm-hmm.
And largely they point back to the on the ground management in the direction that is given there. If they can foresee enough beforehand to anticipate and call ahead to make sure that those things aren't missing, aren't short, aren't taking place, I think it gives me a unique perspective to look at that and say, I know what it takes to make that work. I've
Right.
seen it. I've seen it good. I've seen it bad, and I've seen it fail. I've seen all those pieces, not only within my company, to be honest with you, but with other companies, their project managers or superintendents as well.
Yeah.
So once you study that and you can see where they're missing or where they're short and the effect it has upstream and actually downstream both, it creates chaos. And that chaos is manageable if someone is anticipatory of what's going to happen and when it's going to happen and why it's going to happen and
Mm-hmm.
preventing it from happening. And of course, communication with all individuals is key. I I don't understand the inability of people to make a quick phone call or text or email that can literally be one sentence that can stop a freight train from running through the middle of something. And I know
Mm-hmm.
those are kind of exaggeratory statements, but just meaning that those little things can stop a large problem from occurring
Yeah.
just
Before it
by
even before it
talking it
even gets to
through.
that before it even gets to that point. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it is mind blowing that it still exists today with all of the ways there are to communicate from inside of management tools, estimating design tools, builder trend. I saw that on your website. I
Yeah.
saw everything on your website. I looked through everything and been on your Instagram. I've kind of looked at everything about what I could see.
Mhm.
And so I have done 4 hair studios um, and 2 nail spas. Although the codes, at least in Georgia, are different as it relates to makeup and exhaust air in those buildings. I didn't see any of that in at least the pictures that I saw of yours, but I'm familiar with it either way.
Right.
So I've built them. I have designed those. Some were slow. It's if the design team that you all have, which seems to be a bit different than the design team that I was working with at the time, and or some of the client.
The design team that the owner hired to work with, which wasn't necessarily in-house or myself, that also can lead to a lot of holdups, stalls, delays, changes. You can't be making wall finish decisions after the walls are up. It's a little late. Now you've got to try to find the right subs, especially if they're looking for Venetian finish wall or something else, and suddenly it slows the world down. And when it's slowed down, it directly affects profitability. It's a big problem.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, cool. I mean, it sounds like you have good experience with technology as well. I mean, kind of, I think you've been proactive and, you know, see that we use Buildertrend, project management software. I usually like to ask folks, you know, hey, what is your experience with technology, with computers? Because it does play a really important role in the day-to-day, job responsibilities and duties for everybody within the company. Can you hear me?
Yeah. In this particular case, I'm away from my laptop, which I would have used. So I'm on my phone.
Yeah.
And so when a call came through, it disconnected, and I apologize for that, but I'm back.
Oh, that's no worries. Yeah. I think whenever you get a call or something, I think it mutes the audio automatically, I think.
Yes, and then I was on Bluetooth, and then that went away. So I was trying to reconnect all those pieces to stay in communication.
Yeah. So cool. No, I was just asking about the technology, but it sounds like you've got it pretty well figured out. You got the Bluetooth and the computer, and pretty much a little bit about a variety of things, I would assume.
Oh yeah, I've used them. The smartphone now is really just a mini computer. It's pretty darn versatile. It doesn't take place of a computer or a tablet at a minimum, but having that is big key. But you can still do a lot with it. I mean, I'm very familiar, and one of the things that is thinking back in our conversation just before that are daily pictures and daily progress reports that are and have always remained. I don't know if you all have it. Maybe your staff is completely different or realizes the importance of it, but those items are critical. You don't need them on Tuesday, June 9th. It's not to say you don't need it on July 31st, and you have to see the sequence or what was behind the wall or who was there. Oh my goodness. And it just, man, taking pictures and either putting them in a file or sharing them takes 5 minutes, man. It's not the end of the world to try to make that happen. Again, saving so much time on the back end of something and knowing what's happening.
We've got a service warranty and aftercare department, that a couple of guys that really ensures that, if there's any issues with the owners or anywhere, they reach out and get those solved. And we do have our superintendents to take projects, prior to drywall, different phases, different steps to see what's happening, what's going on. And we do use Buildertrend to do those daily logs and journals. And we use Dropbox to do a lot of the share folding for each job to kind of put all that information in one location. And so it's helpful down the road, in the future, be like, hey, well, we've got the information right here on that store. This is what was done or whatever. And so, yeah, it's
stress team. I found that interesting. I have not seen that leg of process installed before.
Yeah. The audit and stress team. Audit and stress. Yeah. Yeah, we got a guy. He goes to every store at the end and checks all of the, receptacles, all the systems, and tries to, helps train the owners and how to use their system with the keyless entry and just the different aspects of, what all it entails. And so, um, yeah, and so we got a crew that goes around and does closeout punch stuff for us, the last 2 to 3 jobs, and then that's coordinated with Jake coming in and doing the audit at the end of the store. So yeah. All right, cool. Have you got any questions for me?
How is it? Is a super just overseeing one location at a time, or are they overseeing multiple?
Um, Generally, it's just one location, but we do have an instance, an occasion. It seems like, for instance, Pennsylvania, we may have a couple of stores going in within close distance to each other, in the Philadelphia area or whatever. And so we have had, guys oversee 2 at one time. And when that sort of happens, we usually try to bring in some sort of an assistant superintendent, someone to kind of help. Those are good opportunities to help train a guy coming up who wants to be a superintendent, to help learn, alongside. Generally it's just one at a time. But there are occasions where there may be 2, but that doesn't seem to be the case, or it's definitely the minority of the time.
Are there, for some of the services that are performed, is it 100% subbed, or are there any in-house production services that are utilized?
I'd say the majority is sub performed. We do have some subcontractors that we built relationships with that they're subs, they're not employees, that will
Right.
go to different sites and do some of that stuff, whether it's demolition or framing or whatever it may be. But the main function of the superintendent is to oversee the coordination of the job site with the subcontractors, the scheduling and materials, and being resourceful and willing to do what needs to be done to make the next step happen. The people that are the most successful in the position is, someone who's kind of not necessarily high energy, but one that could jump from plans to, handling material, getting things moved, to sweeping the floors, preparing for the next guy coming in.
Right.
It's kind of that sort of, not a working superintendent by any means, but
You get. I understand what you're saying. I
yeah,
get the
yeah. So I just, your phase of where you're looking to go, what you're wanting to do, from your position where you've been, I guess, is that something that you feel like you'd be able or willing or wanting to do in that capacity, to be able to function in that capacity? Because I know we have we have some superintendents who, they need something moved and they'll call a laborer for the day when, you could jump in and take care of it yourself. You know what I'm saying? It just depends on the person. It depends on the personality and the temperament, of the site, the superintendent. And so everybody's different, but we just kind of noticed, hey, these are the types of folks who function the best in this position, so I'm just curious as to your thoughts on that.
Well, moving 10 doors, yeah, you move the 10 doors,
Yeah.
or whatever that, pallets of flooring or whatever that is. If it's moving a tractor trailer full of tile, yeah, you need help with that. That's
Right.
something you could do on your own. No, I like working with my hands, and I still consider everything that's done. I know this may sound unprofessional even, but each one of those items that's done is still exercise.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't like just sitting around. If I have talked to people about just doing estimating, and to be honest with you, I really don't want to be behind a desk for the rest of my life. I'm not. That doesn't suit me. I'm active. I like it. I'm up. I'm moving.
Yeah.
I still like to do things with my hands. If I can do whatever, small things or touch things up. Yes, absolutely. I wired a full outdoor home yesterday, just, to help the last part of the project along, just something to do and keep it moving forward. So it doesn't,
Yeah.
it doesn't bother me unless you're getting into some electrical issues that I don't have familiarity with, or you're dealing with 483 phase. It'd be like, look, man, need the electrician to get into this. I'm not hands on it for liability purposes.
Right.
So
Yeah.
there's, climbing roofs, I'm 58. I'm not the most nimble man in the world. I don't like roofs as much as I did when I was 22.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. Everybody's like, man, I love roofs. I just want to climb that one. There's something wrong with you. Yeah.
And I hope you don't take that flippantly or sarcastically. I don't mean it that way. So I don't mind doing it. Like I said, if I can do it, fix it, figure it out. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
If I can if I can use a labor and get 4 days of labor done with my direction, and we can knock a bunch of stuff out, then that's what we'll do. But it's got to be a lot depending upon, what's necessary. If we have to haul 200 sheets of sheetrock across the street and up a flight of stairs, then yeah, I'm going to need help. That's not something I can do on my own.
Yeah, no, that wouldn't be a safe lift, I don't think. Yeah.
I was just trying to give an example. Although,
yeah. No, I totally get it. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah. I know you mentioned the Planet Blue. What other types of projects have you done?
interior finishes, doctor's offices, dentist offices, any sort of retail from ground up to tenant finish. And I got to think back. We did indoor swimming pool training center.
Oh, wow.
It was pretty interesting. Warehouses, many warehouses, elevators, elevator renovation, elevator shafts, elevator modernization, retirement centers, retirement center renovations of all the units, retirement center renovations of common areas and kitchens. I've done many restaurants, from grease traps to final finishes and kitchen installs.
Yeah.
I mattress stores. I had a contract with actually two mattress companies, and did all the metro Atlanta area, but it was, I don't know, 30, 40. Each one had its varying degrees of complexities and location and who they were trying to appeal to in that market or that zip code versus another zip code, and what their sale point was in those. So that was Mattress Giant, and they sold out to, can't even remember what the name of the second company was. Office renovations, man, I don't even know how many. Police training center for the county. I've done parks. I've done pavilions. I've done state parks, county parks, the bathrooms, the buildings, parking lots. I have had exposure to any one of the different service sectors, some with high levels of technicality. We recently finished, there's a lab here in Atlanta that does all of the testing for any type of testing, whether it's air particles, lead, provisions for window breakage, for storm areas, So inside, we have built their decontamination chambers and firewalls, and their actual testing lab that had some very specific specifications to it, so that it was tightly sealed with proper air exchanges and negative airflow, etc. So it is. I have had exposure to, I would say, 70% of the 60 to 70% of any type of business renovation or build in one capacity or another, if you classified the divisions of businesses.
Yeah. Yeah.
No nuclear plants. I haven't done
I
any.
know. Have you built any space rockets? Because that would have been really cool. Yeah.
If Elon Musk was looking to, hire me, or perhaps even Jeff Bezos, and
Yeah.
well,
We'll come up with something.
I'd give it a shot.
Yeah.
I wouldn't do any of the engineering. That's way beyond my capacity.
Yeah.
That would scare me. I wouldn't get it.
Yeah. Oh, geez, it's funny. All right. Well, cool. The one thing too I was just going to mention is like where we're at on compensation. I know we had it listed, I think, from 60 to 100, and I think you got like 110 base annually listed on your requirements for salary. And so I was just wanting to touch base with that on that.
Fair enough. I realize that you have to place something out there. I'll be honest with you. I'm dead forward. If I can be somewhere between 90 and 95,000 a year,
Yeah,
I'm a happy camper.
yeah,
I don't know in full what the benefits package are. Obviously, medical, dental. Yeah, I know that. What those mean. PTO. I know there's probably a descriptive package that's either sent out or explains those portions of it and what the copay is for health insurance. So, that is, if I'm there, I'm assuming when you're out of town or on site, that depending whether it's close enough to drive or fly, either one, there's going to have to be a rented vehicle and a hotel room, and most likely a per diem that you've got to eat and drink, and maybe a long stay with a kitchen where you can cook yourself. Not really sure what you all.
Yeah. We do have like a lodging budget for the jobs. Generally, I think most of the superintendents, I think it's more like a truck allowance, vehicle allowance type deal, as opposed to renting a vehicle. I know we've got like some of our closeout finish guys. They've got some company vehicles that they got tools and stuff that they're going from job to job, and so I'd generally be driving from job to job. Truck allowance, there's per diem, per day, that sort of thing, and then there's the benefits package, and then we've got a couple of other benefits on top of that are kind of unique to us, to kind of help with quality of life and to kind of encourage folks to, go on vacation and do those things. And then with superintendent, there's also bonuses too for the jobs. That's a possibility as well too. And so, I think I don't think we're miles apart by any means as far as, potential compensation. So, yeah.
How soon are you all looking to place someone?
It's looking like it's going to be here in August.
Okay.
I know we've got several jobs that are getting ready to start kind of at once, and it obviously depends on permitting and depends on a lot of various, aspects, but we just finished up quite a few, and then we've got quite a few that are getting ready to start. So I know most likely that's the time frame we're looking at. So for you, as far as time frame, what about you? You'd be able to jump on board?
August 9th, I believe, is when I would be first available.
Okay, all right, cool. Yeah, I'll make a note of that. Yeah, generally, what I'll do is I just take the Zoom call, pass it along, take down some information, write down some notes and thoughts, and pass it along for review. Our director of field construction, let him sort through the candidates and kind of pursue some next steps and options with our VP of operations. Kind of go from there. So. If it's something where you don't hear from me in the next couple of weeks, feel free to reach out, do a follow-up email.
Okay.
But I definitely appreciate you taking the time. It's been a pleasure to chat with you and meet you here virtually. And so, yeah, thanks for your time. Appreciate it.
Likewise, I appreciate it, and thanks, and look forward to hearing from you all at some point in the future.
Okay, awesome. Thanks, Mike. If you need anything, have any questions, feel free to reach out.
All right, man. Thank you.
All right, thanks.